Okay, and now presenting Simi. Simi, we're super excited to have you here. Thank you for taking the time. Simi is an award-winning global business psychologist, executive psychology coach, and author of Productivity Joy. With over 20 years of experience, she helps leaders, business owners, and professionals elevate their leadership to be a joy to work with. Her expertise spans leadership, psychology, entrepreneurship, well-being, and inclusion. On a mission to help 5 million professionals thrive, Simi works with Fortune 500 companies and scaling enterprises. Founder of SimiRayat.com and former owner of Minds for the Future, Simi is a Forbes contributor, podcast guest, and devoted mother of two. She is passionate about creating cultures where joy fuels impact and high performance. So please help me welcome Simi.
Thank you, Amir. That was a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. It's so wonderful to be here with all of you this morning. Look, I reckon being a founder is an exhilarating and, thank you, and an exhausting journey. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Yes.
One of the weaknesses I'm trying to conquer.
Absolutely. We're in good company, don't worry. One day, we wake up and we're celebrating a win. The next day, we're sat at our computer screen at midnight thinking, oh my goodness, what am I doing? Who's had one of those days already this week? Yeah. Look, I completely get it. I've been there, and at times I'm still there as well. So I founded and grew and sold my first business back in 2016. And I know the highs and the lows too well, and the relentless pressure that is on us when we're building something from the ground up. Yeah? It takes a lot of courage, effort, energy. Yeah? But today what I want to do is I really want to focus on how do you be equipped and feel energized to bring out the best version of you? Okay? So now I work with leaders and managers across global teams, and my work is really to help them develop a mindset of high performance and well-being so that they can thrive. And what I know is this: all the teams that I work with, whether they're large corporate organizations or scaling enterprises, there's one key thing. When you're building a business, regardless of your strategy, your product, the capital that you're raising, your hustle, we all know about the hustle, it really comes down to your mindset. And it's about how we and how you show up each and every day. Because that mindset makes a complete difference to the impact that you have. So today, I want to really share with you how you can get that mindset. Now, interestingly, the stats are a bit shocking, actually. Mercer's global research, HR global research, shows that unfortunately, 82% of people, that's 8 out of 10 people in this room, feel stressed, overwhelmed, and are at the brink of burnout. That's pretty sad. Now, we know that that's even higher for founders and entrepreneurs with all the challenges, the pressures, and the things that you're dealing with. Yeah? When we feel like this, it's really difficult to make clear decisions. It costs us not just financially, but it costs our decision-making, creativity, innovation. And you know what? What I'm really concerned about, it costs you your joy. So that's what we're here to talk about today. And the thing here is that we've all got an opportunity to flip this script. And today we'll look at how we can flip that script. So 8 out of 10 of us are not feeling like this, but we're actually operating from a place of clarity, calm, and intentionality. Now, most of us, when we think of this kind of 8 out of 10 people, I know that I've been in that situation. In fact, I'm quite a bit embarrassed to say that my family had a nickname for me at one point. And the nickname was this. I was the bull. Not great, is it? And, they said it in jest. But it was actually an element of truth in it, which hurt me. Because, unfortunately, my loved ones were experiencing the stress, seeing me charged around, being overwhelmed, carrying all of this pressure on my shoulders. And unfortunately, they were getting the worst out of me. I wasn't a joy to be around. So that was a real wake-up call for me. And I knew that there was a different path and there was a different way. Yeah? I was so busy in the doing, especially with my first business, that I lost sight of how I was being. And I wonder if that's true for some of you as well. So we'll talk about a tool today. And before I share that with you, I think it's important just to tap into something that many of us fall into, and it's a trap called the productivity paradox. And what is this? Many of us fall into the trap that we need to do everything. That being productive is about having that really long to-do list and getting through everything. Yeah? When actually, true productivity isn't about doing everything. It's about doing what truly matters. What truly is going to move the dial for you in your business, in your efforts, in the impact that you really want to have. But I wonder how many of you are clear, like super crystal clear, on what are those few things that are really going to move the dial. Because I understand, as a founder, the initial stages of your business, you end up doing everything. But I just wonder, are we really focusing on what truly matters? Because when we do that, that's how we can spark our joy. Because that's when you can really have an impact. We also fall into one more trap, and that is the urgency effect. And no one's to blame here. It's actually your brain. Yeah, all of us, our brains are wired in this way to help us feel safe and to make us feel like we're making progress. We'll tick off all the 10 quick things on our to-do list. But really, are those quick things the most valuable, most important that are going to move the dial? So I've gone away over the last kind of 5.5 years and developed a tool to help us shift. To shift from what I call a phase that I was in, which was survival mode. I was rushing around, always overwhelmed, stressed. I was in survival mode. Survival mode is not sustainable, like for me, for anyone. And it's not sustainable for the business that you are trying to build. So how do we switch from survival mode to thriving? Through a tool that we've developed, a science-backed tool called the 5 Qs formula. So what we started to do is we started to research and see what is it that people are doing out there these days, high performance that sets their day up for success. So, a lot of people are doing their morning run, their exercise, their morning coffee trip, making time to, meditate or do yoga. But what we were finding was there was nothing out there. There was not a reliable science-backed tool that helped you prime your mindset at the start of the day. And this is where I started to apply my psychology background, the work and the research we've been doing with leaders and entrepreneurs and founders, and what we developed was a tool that you can ask yourself 5 key questions at the start of your day, and these 5 questions prime how you feel, how you show up, and your focus and attention for the day. It's been trialed and tested on 100 of our clients globally. These are leaders from corporate organizations, entrepreneurs, founders, working parents, and also students. And what we found is 4 key results. One is these leaders, after consistently, even if it's 1 week or 2 weeks, applying the 5 Qs formula, they're able to rewire their mindset. And they report that they're able to feel more grounded. They're able to make decisions from a place of clarity, not panic. They're able to show up differently in a way where others notice that they're calmer, more intentional, and they're able to have better impact. Yeah? And then the 4th one is that they're able to cut through the noise faster. Now just imagine as a founder how important and how valuable that is for you when you're thinking about applying for funding, grants, when you're looking at your product design, or you're looking for the next sales opportunity, or even if you need to pivot. I was speaking to someone earlier and they said, well, Simi, this is my next try of my business. The other one didn't work. Again, that's amazing. We're pivoting. So this formula is a tool that I want to share with you. You're going to be able to grab a toolkit today to download for free so you can put it into practice. And what we found is that actually it only takes you 5 minutes to go through the 5 key questions once you know them. And you can also start experiencing the benefits. So let me share with you a very quick and easy way to remember the 5 Qs formula. And that is through the acronym PRIME, okay? When you download the toolkit, which I'll share with you very shortly, the QR code, you'll get the actual questions that you need to ask yourself each morning. They're very simple. But this PRIME acronym helps you understand what the questions are about. So the P is for pinpointing your emotions. Now, many of us don't connect or take the opportunity to start the day with asking ourselves how we feel. Because, we don't want to deal with it. But if we're not aware of how we feel, it's so difficult to self-regulate and self-manage. And when you're consistently on the go, one small setback or challenge or obstacle, it could trigger us. So this self-regulation is really, really important. And we provide a tool, which is the emotion ring, to help with our language and vocabulary around our emotions and feelings. So essentially, all you're doing as a first step is pinpointing the inner circle in terms of how you feel, what emotion you're feeling, and then the outer circle is the feeling that perhaps you're experiencing during that morning. Yeah? So you're not going into a therapy session with yourself, you are just acknowledging, okay? The R is then for recognized gratitude. Who here already has a gratitude practice that they have in place? Yeah, some of you? Yep, great. We've looked at the research from world's leading neuroscientist, Dr. Andrew Huberman, and we've had a look at the ways that we can cultivate a deeper level of gratitude, okay? So that you can have increased benefits of serotonin and dopamine release at the start of your day. That is feel good, happy good neurotransmitters in your brain. And you can activate that by asking yourself 2 very simple questions. And those 2 questions tap into thinking about who in your environment, and this is where this community is so valuable, who in your environment inspires you to be a better version of yourself. That's so valuable because we see qualities in others, we admire qualities in others that we actually have in ourselves. Yeah, and there's so many great examples in this room that we have here today. It might be in this room, it might be in your other networks, in your personal life, but that's a quick reminder. And then the second one is recall a time when someone has expressed gratitude to you. That is because we all have a human condition to feel of significance and that we matter. Yeah? So if we can recall the times when someone has expressed gratitude to us, it instantly gives us a deeper level of serotonin, dopamine kick and boost. Okay? So you may want to incorporate that question as part of your existing gratitude practice. The I is for identify what is working well and what could be working better. this is not what I call kind of toxic positivity, that everything's going really well. No, we've got to be real. There's always things in our environment, small things that we can pay attention to and we can identify and connect with. And that in itself helps you bypass and hack your brain's negativity bias. We all have a negativity bias. Yeah, we're hardwired to look out for things that are going to cause us stress and harm. This particular question enables you or encourages you to just look out for those small micro moments. It might be that you've had a really good night's sleep. Your kids have let you sleep the whole night. You know, your kids have slept the whole night. Thank you to the YouTube channel that we had introduced earlier. You know, it could be just the small things that you've actually had time to grab a morning coffee and make time to come into a session like this. When we start noticing the small things, it changes how we think, how we feel. It sparks our joy. Okay? And then we've got the M. The M is the make a list. Now this is the action bias one. Who here has got an action bias? Like you like to get stuck in and get things done. Yeah, many hands up in here. This one is really a great one for those of us who end up with very long to-do lists. And you know that you never get to the bottom of that to-do list. It's exhausting and it feels unfulfilling because we don't get to the bottom of it. Now you're probably thinking, with this one, make a list of 3 high-impact tasks you're going to do in a day. You're probably thinking, oh, Simi, I have way more than 3 things I need to do in a day. But trust the science, trust the research. It shows that when we prioritize, really get clear on the 3 high-impact tasks you're going to do in a day, it fuels you with so much energy and you are so much more effective. This question, if you do that on 5 days of a working week, you'll complete how many tasks? 15 tasks in a week. Across a month, 60 high-impact tasks. That's huge. And often we are getting stuck in doing everything, doing the things that are not moving the needle. What a lot of our users of the 5 Qs formula love about this particular question is it gives them permission to stop. It gives them permission to put down the tools when you've done your 3 high-impact tasks, have a break, do that hobby that you don't have time for. Do the exercise, do the other things that are important to you in your life. Spend time with your loved ones because you know you're doing the things that move the dial. Now, in the book, there's a chapter on each of these questions, each of these steps, and there's lots of examples and case studies and tools to help you know how to clearly identify what your 3 high-impact tasks could be on a given day. And then the final one is E. E is for envision how you want to show up. Deliberately, it's at the end of the 5 Qs formula because our brains remember the first and the last thing it is primed with. The beauty of that is this question is encouraging you to tap into your superpowers. We all have superpowers, things that we're good at, things that energize us. We all have principles and values that are important to us. Yeah? How often are we tapping into those superpowers and those values to ensure we show up in the best way that we can? For you, for your business, and for what you're creating. Because when you thrive, your business thrives. When your business thrives, you're able to create something that is going to make a difference in the world. That's joy. I think that is absolute joy because it's joy and impact. And the world benefits from what you're creating. So the 5 Qs formula is something we definitely encourage you. I'd invite you to use, give it a go, see what shifts for you. When you use it, see what shifts for you. Yeah? Again, like I said, it's 5 minutes. See where you could put it into your routine, whether it's when you have your morning coffee, perhaps on your commute into work. It might be before you open up the laptop and check your emails and, respond to all those notifications. Just 5 minutes. 5 minutes that you're giving yourself to spark clarity, joy, and effectiveness. Now, we are on a global mission, and today is something that you're all part of. You know, it's a beautiful breakfast. We've got amazing energy and very talented people in the room. But today is about something even bigger, and that is the Global Joy Mission. That is to equip and empower 5 million people across sectors, across industries, professionals, founders, entrepreneurs. We're now also working with schools and creating a 5Qs formula version for primary school children. So we can start to lay the foundations of self-awareness, self-leadership, and emotional well-being from a young age. Yeah? You can all be part of this mission. That is me actually jumping out of a plane in Queenstown last year. Don't worry, I wasn't really holding the book. But we've launched the mission last year in Melbourne and in Sydney and in Singapore. And this year we've got plans for Perth, New Zealand, and we're looking to take the mission to India and the US as well. Now, my ask is to each and every one of you is basically 3 things. One is I invite you to use the tool and see how it shifts for you. If it works for you, I would encourage you to think about where you can introduce the tool into which industries and sectors that need it the most and be part of the global mission. It's our social enterprise part of the business, and we are looking to accelerate the mission as fast as possible. Yeah, we've already started to make good traction, good progress, but we would really need your support as well. And then the other way you can get involved as well is looking at how those tools, we can modify the toolkits and they can be relevant for your community as well. Now look, I always say, in fact, I say this because it's something my mum used to say. She's very entrepreneurial. She was a fashion designer, had her own business, and I grew up watching her as, you know, an Indian woman in that generation, very driven, very kind of scared and reluctant to do what she was doing, but she had a belief. And she used to say to me, Simi, there's 3 types of people in this world. She'd say there's the people that will watch what's happening, there's the people that will make things happen, and there's people who have got no clue on what's going on. So my question to you guys is, which kind of person are you? Yeah? Which one are you? I want to share the Productivity Joy Toolkit with you. We've got an opportunity together to flip that script. So it's not 82% of people feeling stressed, overwhelmed, at the brink of burnout. Instead, it's 82% of people that are thriving, that are operating from a place of clarity, intentionality, and they're able to spark joy and have greater impact in what they do. Here's a QR code for the toolkit, so please feel free to scan the toolkit, have a go at using the 5Qs formula, and please get in touch and let me know what's working for you and how you find using the tools as well. And on that note, I would just really like to say a big thank you to each and every one of you for being here today. You've been absolutely amazing. I hope it sparked some thoughts in you, because at the end of the day, it's so important, like I said, when you thrive, your business thrives, and then the world benefits from everything that you are creating. And that is real joy and impact. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Simi. That was great. We did have some questions during registration, so I might kick off with a question. Someone asked, how does one stay focused and not get sidetracked by side quests?
Ah, yes, the next shiny object. Yeah, I think we've all been, kind of down that road. I have as well. I can tell you one thing that's really worked for me and some of the founders that I work with is being really clear on your North Star. Yeah, and when I say North Star, think long term. Think about the next, not just 5 years, but 10 years, and being really clear on your impact. And this is amazing that we're in this environment here because none of us are born to play small. I really believe that we're born to play big and have the biggest impact, whether we get there or not. Sometimes that's out of our control. But what is in our control is if we can be really focused and get that clarity. You might not have it straight away, but keep asking yourself, why am I doing what I'm doing? How I'm spending my time. Is it taking me closer to that North Star? Is it taking me away? So just to give you an example, every year we go away, we call it the Rayat Retreat. They talk about it in the book. Well, we talk about it in the book, and then it was published in the newspapers late last year as a concept. Now, our Rayat Retreat is a family retreat, right? We go away, and this is not for everyone, but it's 3 days, so we have various holidays throughout the year, but this particular 3 days is where we go away. I'm packing bathers and toys for the kids, but I'm also packing flip charts, post-it notes, a whiteboard. And what we literally do is we go away and we brainstorm. We reflect on how the year's been, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and then together we come up with our individual goals for the year, only 3, and we come up with our family goals for the year as well. And, that might not work for everyone, and that's okay, but it gave myself and my family that opportunity to plan and to really kind of connect with what was important. I've got 2 young boys. So now, when I'm away traveling a lot overseas with my corporate clients and work, they actually understand that Mummy's got to do this because it's part of her mission. And there's a little bit more of an understanding from them, whereas before it would have been, oh, why can't you be, you're going away again? And I could see there was this element of resentfulness building up. The eldest loves basketball. He wants to get into rep. Don't know whether he'll get in. But, we're looking at, well, what do you need to do? What steps can you take to help yourself to get there? So I would encourage you to get really, really clear. What is your North Star? And start taking steps towards it each and every day.
A quick follow-up on that. So we have many members joining StartSpace that are often in that ideation phase. They have many ideas. They don't know exactly what they want to choose, what to go for. So with that North Star, does that also apply to founders understanding what they want to do with entrepreneurship or any ideas to settle on? Or do you have any other thoughts or advice on that?
Yeah, look, I think it's connecting back with, which is an amazing stage to be in when, you're contemplating different ideas. And there's a lot of possibilities out there. Again, my recommendation would be really tap into what is your purpose. What do you wake up for? What's going to help you wake up in the morning and know that you're going to have a spark in your energy and in your motivation? And often, when we're working, we don't have that luxury because other people are setting your goals and the things that you're working on. But when you are in a position of having your own business, setting something up, that's the beauty of it. You can decide. So keep trying to ask yourself, what is my purpose? Who else can I talk to? And the more information that you have and the more conversations you have, you'll start to, rule out whether that idea is a good one or that idea is potentially not a possibility right here, right now. But I'd say don't delay it. Often, we can talk ourselves out of ideas and we can stall. If you've got a good idea, you've got passion behind it, people will come to you as well as a founder. With the Joy of Work mission, I had these plans, and my husband was like, you want to do this? It's like a lot of work. And I knew, and I said to him, I said, look, I really believe in it. I really believe that it will absolutely help people and shift that mindset. And, he said, well, you've got to then make sure you're living it, you're breathing it, you are out there doing what you need to do and who you need to become to get people on board with the mission. And that was my growth, that was my learning.
All right, thank you. Audience questions / reflections. Shahina?
Thank you, Amar. This was brilliant, Simi. Thank you so much. The way you were so much on with joy and productivity. I'm all about global mindset. I really believe that this is an area of exploration, like the kind of world we live in right now is so global, so diverse, but we never think about it. Are we having a proper mindset to communicate and be with each other?
Yeah.
And that's coming from my exposure of last 20 years working with international students. And I see the potential. They could do so much more.
Yeah.
Because I believe global education is a very, very powerful thing, only if you know how to make it work for you.
Yeah.
So in my experience, I know what I want to contribute. I have an aim, I have a program, but I learned a lot from how you've been executing. Like, this is amazing. Your purpose is so clear. I think I am at the moment more in doing mode. So I'm working a lot. So I have a lot of tools. I have a lot of information, programs, this, that. I also have resources, network, everything.
That's great.
But I think what's missing is joy and connection and having a real purpose and focusing only on doing the 3 most productive stuff rather than losing myself in the pile of those big jobs. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're most welcome and good luck. It sounds like you're doing amazing work.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Shahini.
That was wonderful, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Simi. I just had a question regarding juggling your energy and your motivation when you have a full-time job as well, and then trying to do stuff outside of that.
Yeah, such a good one. And how many people are kind of in that situation as well? Yeah, we've got a few people. Yeah, that is definitely a juggle, and it's a good way. Like, it can be a really good way to test out your ideas and lay the foundations so that you can make that transition if and when it's ready for you. I would say that, again, look at that third. Making the list of 3 high-impact tasks. They don't need to necessarily be big, chunky tasks. But, for example, you could set yourself 3 high-impact tasks that you're going to do for the week, but for your business. So that you've got certain days where you know that on those days you're doing something that is moving the dial on your business. And, it sounds really simple, but just having that structure and having that time allocated to your business is really, really important. I know even with me, if something isn't in my diary, like in my calendar, it's not going to happen. Yeah? So it could be that, ensuring you prioritize that time and you block it out. And thinking about your energy as well. If you're managing a full-time job, that is, very demanding and intense as well. How can you set yourself up so that you are in good energy and in a good mindset when you come to do your business stuff? It might be that you find a space, or like come here, for example, and be in an environment that you know is going to be conducive to your business, to your thinking. It might be that you allocate a certain amount of time, but before you do your business stuff, you might want to go through the 5 Qs as a way to prime your mindset. So yeah, just a couple of options there. It's a really good one though, Ethan, because our energy is so important. I always say that it's our biggest currency. And energy is something that draws people to us. It draws ideas. And it can really fuel what outcomes you're able to achieve. Yeah, so I hope that helps.
Other questions, Annie?
Yes.
name again is?
Amir.
Yeah, like it's like you look familiar, but what's your name again? It's really excuse me, but thanks for clarifying. So I've got a question for you, Simi. So what's your best leadership perspective according to what you're specializing right now and what you're delivering on how you can really eradicate toxicity of the world using productivity joy? I'd love to hear from
What a
you.
great question.
Yeah, that's my curiosity today. So.
Yeah, thank you. Because at the heart of the work that I do is to help leaders and managers become more of a joy to work for and do business with. Because I've seen that when leaders are perceived to be a joy, their team will move mountains for them. Right? They'll drop things, they'll be really loyal, they will be so much more creative, bring their ideas, share their ideas. But how do we become a joy? So when I talk about joy, there's three things, right? It's the connection with yourself. So really knowing who you are, being able to show up in that best way. Connecting with those around you. So when you show up, there's a real joy in terms of your presence and your connection because people know that you're giving your energy, your attention to that interaction. Yeah? And then thirdly, it's safety. Right? When we feel safe, when we can make people around us feel safe, what happens is they start to drop their guard. They start telling you the good, bad, ugly, which is great. Because the worst thing as a leader, manager, or business owner is not knowing what's going wrong or what potentially could go wrong. And that's when things trip us up. When I talk with managers and leaders, they say to me the biggest thing that keeps them up at night is not knowing if something is going to go wrong because their team hasn't told them. And they said, if I knew, I'd be able to obviously put measures into place and would be able to mitigate it or, you know. But what happens is when people don't feel safe, they put workarounds or they don't say anything. And then that same issue occurs again and again. So your question around there's so much toxicity, there's darkness. You know, there's darkness in the world. We all know that at the moment. It's a heavy darkness. Culturally and politically, all the frictions that we're all seeing, hearing, and it's wearing people down. So when I talk about joy, it's really that connection. Connection, the self-awareness, and the safety. And that's when we can really build trust. And with trust, you know, absolutely, whatever you're wanting to achieve, you can get the right investors. You can get the right team. You can develop a culture where you know you've got high-performing people that really respect, admire you, and the mission that you're wanting to create or deliver.
The key is connection, self-awareness, and safety.
Correct.
What's the best way to make yourself safe such that you can make others safe?
Yeah.
You never know. The world's not perfect such that you can't be perfect. What's the best way to
Yeah.
make yourself safe so you can be?
Yeah. So we're not aiming for perfection. Okay. Perfection doesn't exist. We're aiming to always look for progress. What is the progress that we're making? Yeah? And the safety question, such a good one. The safety one is when we are self-aware, when we show up intentionally and we're grounded, we can show up a lot more calmer, right? We're not driven by a reactive mode. We can actually show up in a creative mode, in a mode of possibilities. When I coach clients, I have clients that I coach and, you know, they're afraid of or don't have that confidence to speak in public or when they're, you know, delivering their pitches. And one of the simple techniques, but so effective, is just before you get on stage and you are going to speak, just say these 3 words to yourself quietly, right? And those 3 words are, I am safe. And it absolutely is a game changer in terms of the signal that it sends to your body and your brain and just calms you. So whenever you find you're in situations that you do feel unsafe, you don't feel as relaxed, you know, just letting yourself know I am safe can help calm you down. But obviously, if you are in a situation where you're absolutely, you're not safe, then you've got to look at ways to exit as best as possible.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you. One last question from the audience. Yep.
Hi. Yep, I've got two questions. So the first question is, say sort of I've done that during the day and sort of set the strategy at the start. And so during the middle of the day, if my energy dips, sort of what can I do to sort of manage my energy? And I guess the second question is, if you were to create like an ideal sort of tool or product, what would that look like to implement your vision?
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Wonderful questions. We'll take the first one. So, yes, for many of us, our energy can dip at different times of the day, and it's good to know, have that self-awareness of when your energy is high and when it kind of tends to dip. So for me, my energy does dip in the afternoon. So I make sure that I'm kind of up early doing what I need to do and prioritising my 3 high-impact tasks in the morning, if possible. And I know that's not always possible. So just knowing your energy dips, highs and lows. Secondly, do you think that potentially could be, you don't need to answer this right here, right now, but could it potentially be that you're doing a lot in a day, like you keep going? Because many of us can fall into that trap where we might not be feeling at our best and effective and energized, but we keep going, we keep grinding, right? And we lose the joy. We definitely lose the joy. So my suggestion would be, can you break that up? Just movement, whether it's the gym or exercise or going and having a coffee with a friend, something that sparks your joy. So for me, it's connection. So it's, connecting with somebody that I, really want to value and I value that time with. So connection for me it'd be great for you to, know what sparks your joy and look at implementing those during the times of the day when your energy is low. Yeah. And then your second question was around how, the tools to share this and the mission. I'm so glad you asked that question because we've got various tools. The 5 Qs formula is one of the tools. And we've now, so that's for professionals, corporates, founders, entrepreneurs. We've now developed a children's book, which is a story. It's called Find Your Joy. It'll be published and released very shortly. But our aim is so that every Australian child can have access to the 5 Qs through Find Your Joy book, so that they can learn how to, one, spark their joy, and secondly, the self-leadership skills that we've been talking about this morning. Yeah? So we've got the books, we've got the toolkits, we do challenges and group challenges, online challenges. The last one we did was the Joy of Work Challenge, which was an international challenge, and we had 455 people that had joined from different countries, and each morning for 15 days they would receive a short video from me, which is a 5-minute video that gave them a science-backed tool and technique to help spark their joy. So again, just another way to look at getting the tools out there and getting the frameworks so people can use them in an accessible way. But another thing that we're working on is building community. So looking at how we can create a community of potential ambassadors of the mission so they can then bring the tools into their local areas, countries and industries. They really believe in the mission, they really believe in the tools, but also they want to work on moving that dial. So there's various different ways. We've got 4 streams that we're working through currently.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. Please help me give it up to Simi. Simi, thank you so much for coming in today.